When I read and I get these messages, and most of the times I'm just a scribe, I'm just writing. I don't really know what I'm writing until afterwards, and I go back and read it and make sure does this make sense? I mean, I'm just writing words. And then, after when I read it, I think this is just so beautiful. This is not something I would write or I could write. This is not coming from me. This is coming from a beautiful place of love. And, to me, that's the Lord. To other people, it could be the one source, the one force, the universe, whatever you want to call it. It's all coming from the same place. But to me, the power of prayer is so very powerful. And I just know that He gave me this, He gave us breath and He takes it away. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
Hi, I'm Carol Saunders, host of the Spiritual Forum, where I have extraordinary conversations exploring the vast realms of spiritual living. If you're on a healing, learning, awakening, or intertransformational journey, this podcast will support you. The personal stories, wisdom, and insight shared here will inspire you and give you hope. Step into your divine nature and welcome to the forum. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spiritual Forum. I'm so glad you're here. I just want to send a shout out to my donors. I really appreciate, and anybody who benefits from this podcast and wants to keep it going, you can donate at thespiritualforum.org. That's all I've got to say. I want to introduce you to my guest. She's been on before and she's fabulous. Faith, hope, and love are cornerstones of Lois Bouchard's life. When faced with serious heart and lung symptoms and the confusion and frustration of awaiting a diagnosis, she sat with spirit and listened. She was eventually diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease. She suffered a stroke and was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. But Lois neither resisted nor identified with her diagnoses. Instead, she documented her 3-year journey of meditation and prayer in the book called Dear Lord, I Am Listening. She shares her prayers and meditations for those who are sick, bereaved, or in despair, shining messages of light into a world of darkness. Welcome, Lois.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
It's so wonderful to be with you. We spoke 3 solid years ago almost. It was April of 2023, episode 206. I'm going to remind everybody to go back and listen to that. I don't think we put it on YouTube. It's just on the audio platform. I really wasn't doing YouTube back then. But it's a very inspirational message. And I invited Lois back because she was on my mind when I talk with people who have uh, challenging diagnoses or they're going through challenges in life. And I like to refer people to episode 206 and listen to Lois Bouchard because she is a woman who is very surrendered to spirit and just at peace with the way life shows up for her, even though most of us would be really upset by these circumstances. So I wanted to have Lois back today and just check in to see how she's doing and see what she's up to. But Lois, before we get into any of that, can you just remind us overall what your message is to the world in a succinct way?
My message is basically so much the same, that we have to have faith and we have to believe and we have to trust in the Lord, because I walk that every day. I believe that every day. And no matter what our challenges are, for me, it's health, situations. But for everyone else, they have their own personal challenges. And if you just keep going back to those cornerstones, you will get through this. And I've always done that my whole life, and it's not different now. So I would definitely encourage people to believe in their faith, and I'm here to help them with that through my meditations. And the more meditations I do, it just seems like the stronger it gets. And I'm starting to reach out to the general public and helping them. So there's other messages that are coming other than my health issues.
Oh, that's nice. I when we spoke 3 years ago, I was so moved by your state of non-resistance, by your very close relationship with God, with Spirit, which you call the Lord. I was very taken by your calm presence and the fact that given all of these health challenges, you never really asked for a physical healing. I thought that was so interesting. Can you share with us more about that again?
Actually, I don't really think about, a healing. I know that, we all have to get through life and we're all going to make our own transition when the time is perfect for us, and that's up to the Lord. And I just put my faith in that, my time will be perfect when I pass. And if he's given me these challenges of Parkinson's and heart failure, scleroderma, that these are my challenges to make me stronger and to strengthen my belief in him and to know that everything will work out the way it's supposed to by putting my meditations into a book based on my health issues. I think that was very rewarding to me. I probably wouldn't have done that if I wasn't facing the challenges that I am. So I think we are all meant to go down a pathway when we are birthed, and this is my pathway. And I'm perfectly fine with it. Not that my life couldn't be better. I'm not saying it couldn't be better, but I've learned to accept it and to accept it with peace and understanding. I have no anxiety. I feel very comfortable with what my life looks like today. I know it will probably, my diseases are progressing, that's for sure. I'm now into palliative care. So that will offer me more comfort and more spiritual counseling as well. And this is where I want to be. I've said goodbye to my cardiologist. He can no longer help me. So there's nothing the medical field can do scientifically for me. So now it's all about acceptance and comfort and trust and, and faith. And that's how I live every day, but I'm very happy. I'm very comfortable.
So you've been placed in palliative care. I think you mentioned in email that that might be coming this spring, but that has actually happened.
Yes, that just happened a couple of weeks ago. I had a serious conversation with my cardiologist who has been who has been giving me a lot of challenges as far as implanting a pacemaker. And I've been refusing a pacemaker for at least a year now because of the Parkinson's disease, because I know that I am progressing with Parkinson's. My mobility is becoming a lot slower and stiffer, and I have a lot of pain because I also have dystonia with the Parkinson's. And on top of that, I have heart failure. So my heart is becoming more fragile and weaker. My heartbeats are getting lower. So, with all of that combined, I just felt that a pacemaker would be fine for someone without Parkinson's or someone without a comorbidity such as what I have, and I know what's in store for Parkinson's, and it's not a good situation at all once it gets advanced. And so I just feel I'm putting myself in the Lord's hands. I know, as I said, my time is perfect, and he will take me when the time is right. And in the meantime, I enjoy my family. I enjoy my grandchildren when I can. I enjoy my husband, and I find something very positive to do every single day that makes me happy. And it could be just going to Starbucks and having a cup of coffee or just enjoying a great conversation with my girlfriends. This is what my world looks like now, and it's very comforting to me.
Did you ever fight it at all? Like resist that this is happening? Why God is this happening to me?
No, I've never gotten angry. I've never resisted it. I've never, I just, I know scleroderma hits 10 people in a million out of a million. It only hits 10 people, 10 individuals. And that does cause the scarring. That is what's causing scarring in my heart, which is causing the conduction system of my heart to slow down and to really, really slow down the beats. And that, of course, causes fatigue and so forth. And I have very little stamina. So, I often wonder, like, why did this happen to me out of, the odds are so rare, but it's not for me to try to figure that out. It's just what was supposed to happen. And that's how I look at it. I was supposed to get this. I was supposed to help. My feeling is I want to help others by sending messages of faith and love and hope. And that's all I've been getting in my meditations are faith, hope, and love, and how important prayer is. So, I never fought it. No. To answer your question, no.
It's so interesting to me. I mean, like, I just have a head cold right now, and I really wish I didn't have it. It's annoying.
I can understand that.
And I feel like I have resistance to this little thing that gives me congestion, messes with my podcasting. And you've got all this stuff, and you're just in a state of acceptance, so really, really impressive. Can we I wanna switch back a little bit to, like, your book. I know we talked about a lot in the last episode, 206. But can you share I mean, the title is Dear Lord, I Am Listening. Can you share what listening is for you?
What listening is to me?
Yeah.
Um, basically, what I try to do is I try to find a quiet time, which he tells us we should do, all of us, not just me. Find a quiet time out of our busy schedules, and that's a challenge. And that's actually in my book. It's really a challenge to find that. And just to quiet our mind and to listen. And I have what is known as clairaudience, which is one of the clairs of a medium, and I can, literally hear the voice of the spirit, and it's always talking to me in a beautiful way, calling me my child, and then giving me a beautiful message. So that is what I mean by I'm listening. I'm quieting my mind and I'm listening to hear the message today of what you want to tell me, whatever it is. And hopefully it's not just me personally, it's for everyone to give inspiration really to those who are, who are facing their challenges. And also for the country, I there are meditations about our country. And right now I'm very, as I'm sure everyone else is, very concerned about our country. And I started doing, writing meditations about that, and I started posting my meditations on Substack. I figured instead of writing a book that maybe not everyone will see, it's easier to go to Substack. It's free, and they can read about the meditations I've written. It's just very relative to today, especially what we're going through. And one of them is called Contact, and that talks about, the the coming of the contact of extraterrestrials that we'll be looking at in the near future, and what that will do for humanity and what they will do for us. And so, that's something I'm very excited about, and I put that out there just last week. So that meditation just, I decided that that was time to put that one out there. I got it quite a while ago, but I thought it's time for us to think more positive and to think that there is gonna be relief, and there's relief from suffering and better ways to do things, and our thoughts will start to evolve as in our as human beings, and we'll start to accept each other and love each other better, and to really appreciate each other, especially those that are vulnerable and those that are, in a place of a disadvantage and who are poor and the weak. And that's really what messages I'm trying to put out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, right now there are so many things going on. It's like it it's like the world is on steroids and we've got the stuff going on in Puerto Rico, we got stuff going on in Iran, we got the Arab Israeli thing, we got the Ukraine Russia thing, we've got the disclosure, the alien disclosure, that the Epstein files. I mean, all of this is all happening all at once, and I think a lot of it is just to keep us all really distracted and hard to focus on any one thing. Do you have a sense for it sounds like you have a positive sense for the transformation that we're going through as humanity?
Yes, I do. I do have a positive um, sense for it because if you can allow me, I'd like to,
Sure.
read some of what I got because, the meditation could do a lot better job than me trying to improvise. But it will only take a minute to read. But it said this was about contact, about extraterrestrial contact. And it said, "My child, be brave in this world that surrounds your being. Believe in knowing my love for you and your fellow man. Follow my lead and have belief in my path for you. The lessons," and this is what I thought was interesting because this is so relative. "The lessons of love, belief, trust, and healing are very difficult to learn at this time. Your life and civilization, as you know it, will come to an end where suffering and heartache will be replaced with healing, acceptance, and love for all human beings. Extraterrestrials will bring a welcome knowledge of relief of suffering that has plagued mankind. People will live with an independent spirit that will evolve thoughts of humans to a place of peaceful existence. Love and compassion will replace hostility and anger. This process will evolve over the next years. Your children and grandchildren will understand a world of joy and happiness with a strong commitment to bring strength and honor to their fellow man. Mercy will be given to the weak. Mankind will share their resources and skills to make their world a place of safe haven for all to benefit. The erasing of darkness with light shines a clear and new horizon upon this new earth for all to see. Those dark of heart will choose the path of darkness and will remain with struggles and condemnation. Their souls will not evolve, but will remain without faith, hope, and love. They see the goodness of mankind, but remain resolute to their own destruction.
Wow.
So that was word for word of what I received in that meditation. So, this tells me that people have seen extraterrestrial motherships and so on. I have not, nor have I had any kind of communication with extraterrestrials. Not that I wouldn't mind it. I think it would be interesting and something I would really welcome. But this is the meditation that I received based on what our world looks like today. That you just mentioned all of that and the condition of where we are. And this is very inspirational of how things will change. And I believe that we have help that will, provide us the opportunity if we choose that to change. But we have to always goes back, to the light, to accept the light and to accept the love and acceptance and love. And we have to unite together, and another meditation is about prayer and the power of prayer. And the power of prayer is just is to me so strong of, you know, what it can do for us. And I don't think there's anything more powerful than prayer, than our faith and the love of God for us, for each human being. And that's why when I go to the doctor and he says, you have to have this done and you have to have this invasive artificial gadget, put into your heart. I think, God has got it the Lord has got it taken care of already. It's beyond anything you can do for me or give me. And I'm not saying this for everyone. I'm saying based on my
Uh-huh.
particular comorbidities and situation. Not everyone has scleroderma, not everyone's got all this combined. So that's not for everyone. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is even if you do get a pacemaker or even if you do get a defibrillator or whatever gadget you may have installed or implanted into your body, you still should or you still would want to have that love and that faith and walk in that faith every day because God's like I said, God's timing is perfect for us. And like in the power of prayer, he says, start with my love for mankind as far as messages go. Their devotion to me fills their spirit with my eternal love for each beating heart. Their prayers are heard and not forsaken. It is through the power of prayer that I give you strength for your hardships and challenges. The power of prayer fills your soul with my peace and tranquility, a soothing balm to heal your fears, to hear my thoughts, and to grow your faith in me. Learn trust through prayer that I am the creator and architect of your life plans, complete with your successes and your failures, your times of joy and sorrow. I know every intricate part of your life. There is no hiding your deepest secrets, for I am the light that shines on the darkest corners of your soul. Pray to me for reassurance when you feel burdened and weak and lost, or long for the company of my presence. Have I not carried the cross for you and sacrificed my love for you? I am the Savior for mankind. See me through the power of prayer and know that I will give you strength and heal your deepest sorrows with my everlasting love and devotion for you.
That's beautiful.
So when I read and I get these messages, and most of the times I'm just a scribe, I'm just writing. I don't really know what I'm writing until afterwards, and I go back and read it and make sure does this make sense? I mean, I'm just writing words. And then, I after when I read it, I think this is just so beautiful. This is not something I would write or I could write. This is not coming from me. This is coming from a beautiful place of love. And, to me, that's the Lord. To other people, it could be the all, the one source, the one force, the universe, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
It's all coming from the same place. So I was raised to believe that, it is the Lord or Christ, and I base my belief on that. But to me, the power of prayer is so very powerful, and I just know that he gave us breath and he takes it away. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So that alone just says, I'm very comforted by this. This is how I gain my strength and my comfort. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing that would really give me anxiety. It's as I say, I look for quality, not quantity of time. It's what I tell the doctors. And I'm not interested in living forever. I don't know why their focus is to save us, to keep us alive. And when I try to say, I am not afraid to die, I'm not afraid, that's a rebirth to me. It's a transition of a beautiful rebirth. There's nothing for me to be afraid of. There's nothing for anyone to be afraid of, though people are afraid of it, obviously, because they don't maybe understand it as well, or they don't really know what's going to happen. I'm not saying I've had a near-death experience because I haven't, but I have every belief in the world that it will be a beautiful rebirth to a beautiful heavenly kingdom, filled with love. And what I've gotten in my meditations repeatedly is that what is old becomes new again. So, even though we are facing challenges and our bodies need repair and they're breaking down and whatever the situation is, it will all become new again. So we leave all this behind. All this pain and suffering is left behind. So that's how my vision is, and that's what my belief is. I just I'm not afraid at all. And I think when some of the doctors, when I explain this to them, they look at me with kind of like, deer in headlights, like, wow, I've not heard that. It's just hard for them to, some of them, I should say, are kind of look at it and look at it and think that's wonderful. That's a wonderful attitude. But the cardiologist in particular, I have a hard time with it. So, I tried to explain it to them, but they
I mean, they want to
just
fix things. They
uh,
they're the
they
fixer.
just want to fix
Yeah,
things. Yeah,
they want to fix.
they're
You're
gonna fix
denying
the
them that.
heart. Yeah, they're the fixers, and they're gonna keep you alive no matter what,
Yeah, yeah.
and my feeling is it's okay, it's okay.
Yeah, I
It
love that
really is.
you're keeping your agency, you're keeping your power, you're using your own discernment, and you're keeping your power, and you are the one in charge of your medical treatment and the healing process. I think so many of us give up our power to those authorities, and we just do what we're told. We've been conditioned to do that. But you
Right.
are standing in your
Absolutely.
strength and your power and saying yes to this, no to this, and standing fearlessly. And part of me just kind of wonders if part of your path isn't to help these doctors to see another path, another way of being, so that they can kind
You
of
know,
look at themselves and go, well, maybe she's right, or maybe this is the right thing. Maybe I'm not God after all, and let people, conduct their own treatment as they see fit.
that's a good point. My cardiologist has said to me, half jokingly, that when my heartbeats start to get into the 30s, he was going to tie me to a chair and bring me to the hospital and put a pacemaker in me. And he's actually said this, several times. And I just said, "No, no, we're not gonna do that." And then I started thinking, if God forbid I did have to go to the hospital if I had a stroke again or something, and he was there and he would actually, put the pacemaker in me. So I decided I better make it all legal. So I went to a lawyer and I had the health directive written up so that legally that cannot happen, and I felt a little safer with that paperwork and gave it to the medical office so that they knew that there's really nothing. And then with palliative care,
Yeah,
they know that as well. They don't do anything like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that makes me feel better. I mean, it actually all makes me feel safer to be in palliative care and to have my health directive. But I have seen doctors, at least 3 of them, well-known, very experts, like, in their field, cardiopulmonary expert doctor, and she just wasn't taking no for an answer, and it was just, to the point where, I couldn't say a word because it would wind up, becoming too, um difficult for me. Emotionally, it would be too hard. So I just had to listen and not say anything, but I knew I couldn't change her mind. And it was a standstill. I couldn't change her mind, and she couldn't change my mind.
It's your body.
And
Your
yes,
body.
and
You have a choice about your body.
well, but they're very, it's interesting. This, I guess, is a message for everyone out there, because for some reason, the cardiologists who are trained to save lives. And that's how they build their reputation. If they work for academia, hospitals, they have to do research, they have to write articles, their articles have to go in prominent journals, they get grant money. So they're all about learning more on the scientific field of how the heart works, how they can help people, how their theories are going to go into practice, how they're going to manifest that. So I understand all of it. I do understand all of it. And they're not looking at it from where a person like myself may be looking at it from a spiritual side of it, where I thank you for doing all your hard work, and it is going to improve the healthcare of other people. But for me in particular, faced with two comorbidities that will become extremely difficult for me to live through, because the pain is already difficult for me. If I keep living, it'll be harder for my body to withstand more and more pain and more extreme neurological um, impairments, whether they be cognitive or physical, where I will if I live long enough, I will become senile. I will forget how to do things I do every day. The tremors will get worse and so forth. My heartbeats will, can go into another stroke, and that could be worse than the first one. So, with all of these variables that are flying around, I think thank you very much for your hard work and your research and your understanding. But I'm placing my belief here in my spiritual life and my faith, hope, and love in the Lord who gave me birth and who's going to take my life when it's perfect, when it's the perfect time to take it. So you can't guarantee me that, but he can,
Yeah, yeah.
and you can't guarantee me that I'm gonna, pass my perfect time. It could look absolutely disastrous if I keep doing what you're telling me to do. And right now, I just face every day, like I said, with faith. It's a walk of faith every day, and it's not hard at all. It's just, I come down to my office, I spend quiet time here, I listen, I write what I'm journaling. I try to put it out there for everyone else to read so that it can help them somehow in some little way, in whatever way possible. I'm just thankful I can do that, and I don't think I would be doing that if it wasn't for these challenges
Yeah.
that I'm facing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think you're a real inspiration because we none of us escape this life without having challenges, and things happen to all of us. And some of the things we have control over and some we don't. But to just recognize, like, this is my path. I didn't like make this up myself. This is my path. And not resisting that this path has shown up in this way, and standing in faith and hope and love, walking your path no matter what. I can see that the doctors are perplexed by that, but they also could use a good dose of that. So you're kind of medicating them with the spiritual message, which I think a lot of people need. And just the idea of this is my path. Now I'm on this path. I was here, now I'm on this path and I'm going to walk it. And I'm going to walk it, hand in hand with the divine, with God, with my family, and with knowing that this is the right thing for me. I think it's I think it's a real great lesson for most of us.
And I just really appreciate hearing your story again, and that now you're in palliative care, and that's a big step. It's a good step, I think. I think palliative care, hospice, whatever, is a wonderful, loving place to be in, and a lot of people resist that. My brother and sister-in-law resisted that when they were given the opportunity, and I wish they had taken it because I think they would have been just experience more of the love and the care rather than resisting that this isn't happening to me. So, I think that your life is a wonderful example for us as we face our challenges.
I believe that, what you just explained to us about your family members, I think it really comes down to acceptance.
Uh-huh.
If people don't want to accept that they have an illness, or um, they aren't close to being at a place where they need palliative care, that can be very difficult. It's just fighting the inevitable. And if you accept the inevitable, I think it gets much easier for a person. You know, um, I don't see the point in fighting it. And it doesn't mean my life is easy every day, because it isn't. I have a lot of, like I said, I do suffer a lot of pain. I can't do very much anymore, as far as I was told I can't drive anymore, because may put myself or someone else at risk because my heartbeats are so low. So my life is becoming limited. And when I do face pain, I just, get to a place where I I ask, for God's presence to help me get through it, the strength to help me get through it, and so that it passes. So every day is something different. It's not, like I said, it's not a walk in the park, but it's okay. I still, I accept it, and I believe that God is in charge, and he knows, like he says, he knows every beat of my heart. He knows when we're at rest. He knows when we're not at rest. He knows everything about us. So my life is in his hands, and that's where it needs to be, and that's where I want it to be, and not in a cardiologist's hands, but in his hands. So, so another thing that I did that you might be interested in knowing to help others is I decided, I asked the Lord, what can I do to help serve you and to help serve others as well? And I started reaching out, and he actually through meditation said, reach out to the bereaved, to those who've lost loved ones. And I know that they go through so much grieving, and again, without that knowledge of spirituality, can be very, very hard for them. So what I've done is I actually, as a volunteer, strictly volunteer, I've put my name out there to some individuals who are networked with people all over the world. And they passed my name on to people who they know who have lost either a spouse or a child. And what I asked them to do is to send me a photograph, because obviously if they're some in another country, they send me a photograph of their loved one who has passed, and and a first name, and then I do a meditation on that s- spirit who has passed away. And again, through clairaudience, I'm very grateful that I'm able to pick up information on that person, or on that spirit, I should say. And they're beautiful messages back to their, loved one who's still here with us. And that's really helped a lot of people. And I'm very grateful for being able to do that. And again, it always usually goes back to the love of that person that they had, and the pride they had in them, whether it was a parent to a child, how proud they were. And just very positive remarks and comments that messages, I should say, that I'm able to pass along. And it just really helps the grieving. It really does. So, that's something new that I started and something hopefully I can continue with. And I can still do that, given the situation I have. It's all just putting out my work, and hopefully it has a good reward.
Yeah, so if anybody who's listening is interested in that, are you willing to be contacted by anybody, or is it kind of friends of friends?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's usually, through a friend, but I'm happy to help anyone who's listening. It doesn't mean I could help everybody. I would probably have to limit, who I can help, but usually it's people who have lost a child, a parent, I should say, who lost a child, whether that child passed through suicide or some other through some other way. That's usually very devastating, and
I mean, the
or a
loss of a
spouse.
child is absolutely horrific, and I'm gonna talk to my brother. My brother lost his daughter, in 2020. She was 26, and I think this would be wonderful. I'm hoping he would take advantage of if you're willing to do that for him. It was just really, really a kind of a shocking loss when you lose a daughter and you really don't understand what happened.
No, I know. I'm very sorry to hear that. I think that is the hardest because, we're not supposed to lose your child. We're
Mhm.
supposed to go first. And what I've been learning doing these meditations is a lot of it, unfortunately, there's probably so much stress for these young individuals, these young people today, that it starts to take its toll on them, and it's just hard for them to get through life, and that's a lot, from what I have seen. So, again, I'm trying to help the parents and trying to help, whoever I can, really. Um, and I try not to, I don't ask for monetary reward. I just feel like this is something I can do as a gift.
Yeah. That's what I would have guessed about you, Lois. I do not want to lose the bubble around the contact, though, that we spoke about probably 20 minutes ago or so. I think it's really interesting that you have such a positive vibe about the extraterrestrial or UAPs or whatever. A lot of people are concerned that it will bring down the church and it will bring down religion and it will change people's grounding about God. And I also don't believe that. But I'd like to hear a little bit more about how you feel about it because it sounds like you're really seeing or getting information that this is a positive thing for humanity and we should embrace it.
Undoubtedly, I do. I believe that, being that I do get these meditations, I'll call, for lack of better word, I would call them a download. Say I'm getting a download when I meditate. I'm getting all this information coming to me. And I don't know how that's happening. I mean, it's just not something I should really concern myself about, but it's happening. So I think, well, if I'm getting this, maybe Albert Einstein got a download, and that's how he came up with these mathematical theories, when he did. And from what I understand, he came up with, several in a short period of time. I think we have our spirit guides that work with us and help us. I think we have, our angels that help us and work with us and protect us, but also provide information to us. But I also believe that there are extraterrestrials, not from this planet, that have probably been working with scientists, when you think about it, over the past 100 years to make the advancements that we have made in science and perhaps maybe even in the medical field through these meditations or downloads, or even when we dream, how we're getting
Yeah.
information. And we're putting it into practice, and maybe scientific people don't want to accept that it's coming from a spiritual entity, or it's coming from a place that's not their specific brain, but we're getting help. Let's put it that way. We're getting help. And I believe that extraterrestrials will definitely be helping us in the medical field. And we're probably going to see a lot of cures in cancer. And who are they going to work through? They're going to work through doctors. They're going to work through these researchers, science. There's plenty of doctors who just do research, and they are given money from corporations, grant money, to do their research and to practice their theories, whether it be on people or whatever, mice or whatever. And where is all that coming from? Where are their theories coming from? I believe in my heart that it's coming from another source, whether it's the one force, the universe, the extraterrestrial forces. But when the ETs do come and make contact here, I believe that we have no choice but to accept them. They're going to be right here in front of us,
Yeah, yeah.
and what their knowledge is going to be is only going to move us forward if we accept it, and appreciate it. I don't think we're gonna go backwards. It is gonna be a new world of understanding, of enlightenment, of evolved thoughts, of our own human thoughts will be evolved. um, I don't know about the religious aspect of it. That's something I will have to leave to them. But I do know that no matter what religion, every religion always goes back to love. I don't care what religion it is. It goes back to love, whether you're a Catholic, or whether you're Jewish, or Muslim, or it always goes back to the one force, the one source, who is all about love. I have one of my pictures from my book, All is Love and Love is One. And I try to put that out there as much as I can. We are all connected, all connected. Doesn't matter. He made all of us. Doesn't matter what branch of the tree we're on. We're still part of the tree. And the religions are, as I said, all, I believe, based on love and acceptance. And I think that the ETs will just take us to another higher level of that. And there probably will be some that won't accept it. Like I said in my meditation, there's going to be some that will not evolve, and they will not, see the goodness. They'll see the goodness, but they'll be resolute to stay in their own beliefs. And
Or
that's
their
not
own
going to
their
help
own
them.
power structures. I think that there are power structures that really don't want to help humanity, they want to control humanity.
Yeah, control, but they will remain resolute and then they'll remain to their own
Yeah,
destruction.
right,
So
right.
right now we're not all, we are doing a good job with that destructive part. But if we could get the help that I believe a lot of us have been getting for a long time, but just not realizing where it's been coming from, we have been making advances. And I believe it's from the extraterrestrial or the spiritual realm, or a different realm, whether it is ETs or spiritual, whatever realms there are. I'm sure there's many. I'm not an expert in any of this, but I'm sure we've been downloaded. People are getting
Yeah.
information. They just didn't know how. And I think that's what's been moving us forward, with airplanes, with jets, with missiles, landing on the moon, all of that scientific understanding, as well as, I'm sure because I believe your husband is an astronaut. Am I
Yes,
right?
yes, he is, yes, yes.
So that's what I'm talking about. We've made all these wonderful accomplishments and met our goals, and you know much more about it than I do. So where is it all coming from?
Yeah, I
And
don't you also wonder about, downloads like symphonies, like the great composers? And I've always thought, it seems like Mozart just had downloads, like he had
that's
some
right.
access to some other realm and would, because it's not like just sitting down and composing. It's like they will hear entire symphonies and then have to kinda get it out there. Where did that come
Yes.
from?
Where is it coming from? And I believe it's coming from a different realm, and it's being downloaded. And what about child prodigies
Yeah.
or, people who are blind who could play the piano and they just excel in these different ways in all kinds of different ways. So I believe that, there is this there is a different realm for sure. And I just have a teeny tiny piece of that, and so many others are excelling so much more than I am, and I look at them with so much, grace and strength and accomplishments that they've done, and, to get into a rocket ship and get up into the space and land on the moon takes a ton of faith
Mhm.
and a ton of belief, and look at that. So it's there around us all over. Maybe some of us just don't quite know where it's coming from, but we do have it. And we just have to strengthen it. And when it comes to someone like myself with health issues, I just learned to strengthen it.
Yeah, I see that. I'm curious about if you have a sense about, artificial intelligence. Do you feel similarly positive about it?
I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I see it a lot on, television, like, obviously, I see it on, social media and so forth, but what I do feel is actually, I take that back, what I have used it as far as my health, because what I've noticed is that, I'll go to, the chat and I will type in my symptoms, and it actually looks at hundreds
Yeah,
of journals and articles and research articles, and it summarizes it all for me, and it tells me, "Okay, this is what you have. This is your prognosis or diagnosis. This is the prognosis. This is what will probably happen. These are the symptoms." So it's giving me a huge download, that my doctors don't even touch, they
yeah,
don't
yeah,
come close to it. So I'm actually going home and learning more about my health conditions through AI, and
yeah,
it's giving me a really in-depth understanding and knowledge of not just what I have today, but what can I expect. And also here are the reasons why it's happening. I could even get into, you know, the heart itself and how it works and what's causing this particular symptom,
mm,
and test results and what does these test results mean. So it explains everything in such detail that it's a huge help. It's a wonderful educational tool that I really appreciate. So that's how it's working for me.
I'll be interested if you receive any meditation downloads about that you can write about in your Substack.
Okay.
Artificial
I'll
intelligence and robots and all of that. We're living in really interesting times. Very, very interesting times. A lot of acceleration, a lot of change. And I think that we are like the chrysalis. I think we're leaving being a caterpillar and we're in a massive state of transformation. All of our institutional structures and government and corporations, everything. I think that we have the opportunity to create something new. And I just feel like all of this earth-shattering stuff that's happening everywhere is bringing down the old, and, we've got the opportunity, and it's exciting, a little scary, but, yeah, let me know what you hear about that.
I think we're all here meant to be here
Yes,
at
uh-huh.
this particular time, and I think it goes back to this was supposed to be in our path. We came here to do these things, and the wild, the what we're experiencing today, the destruction, of certain things. I don't want to get too political, but y- the the government, the countries, like you said, the conflicts, the fighting and so forth. Maybe it's all supposed to happen so that we can rebuild into a much better place, into a much better system. Maybe we can all get healthcare. Maybe we can all live in peace and harmony because everything else will be kind of gone to the wayside for whatever reason. And we'll learn from all that we're going through so that when we rebuild it, we won't have to go through this again. And we'll learn how to protect ourselves, by writing new laws, by writing, amendments or whatever have you for the government, and how to learn to work together so that people don't go hungry anymore, so that the weak are supported upward and that we help them and that there's safety nets in place so that there's no more homelessness.
Yeah, we can
And,
solve all that. There's
you
enough
know,
for everybody. We can solve
I
all
think
that. It
we
really
can,
just
but
yeah.
we have to start to go back again to acceptance and love for each other. We have to accept each other. We have to love each other. We have to come together in unity and
Yeah,
peace
stop all those
and
divisions.
stop the division, stop all these horrible things that separate us. You know, Coming together to work together can build a beautiful life for all of us. So that's what I'm hoping will happen. Um, with all that's going on, that it's just going to destroy everything and then we have to rebuild. But when we
Yeah,
rebuild, we have to come from a place, a center of love and working together, and not the division, because we know how that leads, where
we've
that
done
goes,
that.
where that road goes. Yeah, we've done that
We've
now
done
and
that.
that doesn't work. So that's my theory.
I love it. That's great. All right, we are coming to a close. I'd like to know if there's anything that you would like to share that you didn't get a chance to share, or any message that you didn't that's been left unsaid. Want to make sure that is said now.
I think I've said just about everything. I just want people to know that they're never alone and to not be afraid to face challenges, that to lift their hearts to God, to the Lord, and He will not disappoint you, and that He will help you through. And I think that that is probably the best closing remark I could make, is that we're just never alone
We are
and
never
not to
alone.
fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lois, I when I listen to you and I sit with you, I think you are the embodiment of Christ consciousness. I think that you are living the Christ consciousness. You're showing us what it looks like. Just as Jesus, walked to his, crucifixion, or had all these adverse things happen to him, he walked with love, and he showed us how to have dignity and still be love in the face of whatever was happening. And it was his path, and he walked it nobly. And it wasn't really so much about, why am I on this path? Why did this path show up for me? I'm going to walk the path that was given to me. And I think that that is what we're all called to do. And I think it is, and I think that you've answered the call. So I find you just really inspirational, and a message of hope for everyone else.
Yes, thank you. Well, thank you very, very much. That I don't feel like I'm as wonderful as all that. Trust me, I'm very humble. I'm very humble. And I just want to do the right thing for people and the right thing in the world. And when my time comes, I always tell my husband, I just don't want to have regrets.
Right.
So that's how I look at it. I live my life the best I can, so I don't have regrets. And if I can help others, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing. So, thank you so much, Lois, for joining me again. And I look forward to hearing about your journey. Stay in contact with me so we know what's going on with you.
I will. And thank you so much. You've been such a pleasure to know and to work with. And you just have a beautiful attitude as well, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate you allowing me to express myself. Thank you again.
Well, it's an important message. It's gotta get out there in the world, so we'll launch it out into the world just like the power of prayer. So it will touch many, and we will leave that up to God for
Thank
how
you.
it is heard, you know?
Well,
So,
that's a wonderful gift. Thank you so much for that.
okay. All right, thank you, Lois.
Um,
Best
thank
wishes for
you.
you and your life and your family, and thank you so much for generously sharing. And thank you, everybody, for joining me today. And I now close the Spiritual Forum.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you like what you've heard here, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, or a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can also sign up for my weekly newsletter or make a donation to support this work at thespiritualforum.org. Tune in every week and remember, you are a divine creation, perfect and whole, just as you are.